Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Nate pleads with Audra for a second chance. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, may have second thoughts about questioning Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, about her issue with Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. Will Nate find out that Kyle was just as into the plan and didn't tell the truth about his part in the whole Vibrate story? Nate Hastings just wanted the truth. Nate just wanted Audra to admit the truth. Audra agreed to work with Victor to break up Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, and Kyle. If Audra kept up her end of the bargain, Victor would back her company. Nate knows that Claire has no reason to lie to him. However, Audra is trying to make it look different. Audra would rather dump Nate than to admit to what she has done again. Audra is not about to admit to all of Victor's dirty work that she has carried out. However, Nate will second-guess himself and may decide to try to make up with Audra. Nate may chalk it up to being worried about Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, and how she's coping with Damian Kane's, Jermaine Rivers, death. Nate Hastings has just lost Damian Kane. Nate is certainly going to miss Audra now that she has broken things off. However, Nate is also hurting over Audra and his brother. Can Nathan cope without having Audra by his side? Audra has been his rock helping with Amy and in dealing with his complicated issues when it comes to finding his brother. However, Audra is still lying to Nate about everything that has been going on between her and Victor. When will Audra man up and be honest with Nate? Doesn't Nate deserve the truth about this collaboration? Could Nathan learn the truth from someone else? Will Nate forgive her for making him look like a chump? Audra Charles may smooth things over. Audra may manage to smooth things over with Nate and even get him back in her bed. However, that doesn't she will accept his constant questions. Can Audra and Nate fix their relationship, or is Nate fed up after another round over lies and manipulations? What will be the next screw-up that outs Audra again? Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, may just enlighten Nate on everything that she saw. Diane Jenkins could do the same. After all, Diane called this even before she knew the truth. Will Nate finally see that Audra has been lying to him all along after everything that has gone down between them? Emotions are running dangerously high in Genoa City, and at the center of the storm stands Nate Hastings, a man who finally realizes just how much he stands to lose. In a dramatic turn that promises heartbreak, tension, and unexpected vulnerability, Nate is set to plead with Audra Charles for a second chance. This isn't a casual apology or a carefully rehearsed speech. This is desperation, raw and unfiltered, as Nate confronts the consequences of choices that may have permanently altered his future. For months, Nate has been walking a tightrope between ambition and loyalty, convinced he could have it all without paying the price. Audra, sharp, driven, and deeply aware of the games people play, stood by him longer than most expected. She saw his potential and believed in the version of Nate that wanted more than power. But belief has limits, and Nate finally crossed a line that Audra may not be willing to forgive. Spoilers suggest Nate's plea comes after a crushing realization. Something goes wrong. A deal collapses, an ally turns, or a truth is exposed, leaving Nate isolated. In that moment, he understands that Audra wasn't just a partner or a strategic ally. She was his emotional safety net, the one person who saw him clearly and still chose him. Losing her hits harder than any professional setback ever could. The scene where Nate begs Audra for another chance is expected to be deeply emotional. This is not the confident executive or the calculated strategist fans are used to seeing. This is a man stripped of his defenses, forced to admit that his pride and ambition blinded him. Nate is rumored to confess that he took Audra for granted, assuming she would always understand, always wait, always forgive. That assumption may prove to be his greatest mistake. Audra, however, is not an easy sell. She has spent too much of her life cleaning up other people's messes and protecting herself from emotional fallout. Nate's betrayal didn't just hurt her heart. It challenged her judgment and threatened her sense of control. Hearing Nate plead may stir old feelings, but it also reopens wounds she worked hard to close. What makes this storyline especially compelling is Audra's internal conflict. Part of her still cares deeply for Nate. She remembers the man who made her laugh, who shared her drive, who dreamed alongside her. But another part of her knows that giving Nate another chance could mean repeating the same painful cycle. Trust, once broken, doesn't magically repair itself. Spoilers hint that Audra may test Nate before even considering reconciliation. She may demand honesty without spin, accountability without excuses, and proof that he's willing to change rather than just say the right words. Nate's response to those demands could determine whether this plea ends in redemption or final rejection. The fallout from Nate's plea won't stay contained to their relationship. Victoria Newman, who has long viewed Nate as both an asset and a liability, may see his emotional unraveling as a weakness. If Nate's personal life starts to interfere with his professional performance, his standing at Newman Enterprises could be in serious jeopardy. Devon Hamilton may also be watching closely. Nate's past betrayals left scars that haven't fully healed. Seeing Nate plead for forgiveness might trigger skepticism rather than sympathy. Devon knows how charming Nate can be when cornered, and he may question whether this emotional display is genuine or strategically timed. There's also the possibility that Audra's decision could push Nate down a darker path. If she rejects him, he may double down on ambition, becoming colder and more ruthless than ever. Alternatively, her refusal could be the wake-up call he needs to finally confront his flaws and rebuild his life from the ground up. On the flip side, if Audra grants Nate even a sliver of hope, it could mark the beginning of a slow, painful, but meaningful transformation. Reconciliation wouldn't be instant or easy. It would require uncomfortable truths, hard boundaries, and a willingness to let go of old power games. That kind of growth would be a significant shift for Nate and could redefine his role in Genoa City. Come here for all things YNR, check back often for the young and the restless news, spoilers, and updates. https://youtube.be/_OG8A-YM730. Get updates on the latest news about the young and the restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? General Hospital Early Week Spoilers December 8th to 12th, Jason's next mission and Sunny's Sidwell answer. What is this?